What's up, everybody? I'm Michelle Renee from IamMichelleRenee.com, and today I have my phenomenal, absolutely gorgeous, and truly dynamic soror and friend, Dr. Nakeitra Burse. What's up, Dr. Burse?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad to be here on a Tuesday morning. It's pretty in Mississippi, so I'm just glad to be here.
Absolutely. Listen, I am so excited to have you here just to be able to share with my readers and viewers some of the work that you do. So let's start with telling everybody your name from your mouth, who you are, where you're from, and what is it that you do, your specific brand or your specific content area.
So, first of all, I'm glad you asked me to say my name from my mouth because, of course, people always mess my name up or they'll say, well, did I say it correctly? So, my name is Nakeitra Burse. And I am from Corinth, Mississippi, very small town in North Mississippi. Had a very good education there, education system. And now I reside in the Jackson metro area.
Nice. Of course, I know you from attending school at Mississippi State and just being like a dope Black woman, literally from the moment I met you and just watching you kind of grow and birth into who you are now. So give me a little background because you're not just Dr. Burse, you have some other titles.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know some of your most proud titles, but I'm gonna let you tell them
Yeah.
about
Okay. So yeah, I guess I'll put doctor at the very end of everything. But of course, I'm a mother first, to two little boys, Chandler and Cooper, 6 and 2 years old. So hopefully they won't run in here and jump in on this interview. So but yeah, those are I'm really most proud of being a mother and a wife. And so I've been married this year for 8 years this year. And, that's a whole other thing, trying to
We could
juggle
have a whole nother
yeah,
conversation about being
yeah,
wives and mothers, right?
being a wife and a mother. And so then the other part of that is being like a career woman
Yeah. Yeah.
because I've always wanted to be a career woman. I've always wanted to like be an entrepreneur. I've always been goal driven, and even now I'm trying to juggle like how that is and what it looks like. I'm now a full-time entrepreneur, and so like trying to figure out, yeah, I have more flexibility to do what I want to do, but I also can't take off a day,
Right.
and
Yeah.
also it means right now in this pandemic, sitting the kids over with their iPads. So, so I can get work done. And so that is a big juggle. I know I went on a little bit, but that's who I am. And just trying to juggle, being a wife and a mother and being a career woman.
I think that's you actually covered exactly what kind of leads into the type of work that you do and why it's so important and why being able to be in the sector that you're in matters because, and I think some of your passion is driven because you are a wife and a mother and you knew that you had this desire to be a career woman. So tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and give a brief description of the sector that you're in.
Yeah, so I have a public health, and it started out as consulting, and I still do consulting, but at the heart of what I do is developing products just like anybody else. But my products are to really help communities be healthier, experience the type of health that we aspire to achieve. And so through that, like my first product now has been my documentary, Laboring with Hope. And I when I say products, it's hard sometimes to make people understand, as in the public health field, like, oh, you develop products. Yes, I do. And invest in them on my own. So my documentary, Laboring with Hope, is about maternal mortality and the high rates of maternal death among Black women. And it was really driven by all of my family issues, personal issues. My aunt died in 2003. My sister-in-law died in 2016. My sister had a really bad bout with preeclampsia. And I was literally one day in my bathroom, sitting down, getting dressed. And I told my husband, I need to make a documentary. And he was like, okay, here she goes again, you know. But I knew a few years earlier I had come in contact with a production company.
Mhm.
And I was like, if I ever do any type of film, I'm going to use them, not knowing that I was going to do a documentary. And so I reached out to them, sat down with them, talked about my vision. They were just as excited as I was. And it was probably maybe around a year long process. And I think what I really wanted, part of the business part that I want to drive home to people is to like just go forward with what you want to do. Of course, you know that a documentary project is not $5 or $10. And so, you know, it took money to do that. And I went to the bank, tried to get, you know, like a line of credit, a loan, and I have good credit, and I couldn't get what I needed to create that documentary project. But what I did was just stay with it. And so, of course, I was doing consulting, and I literally just saved my consulting money and paid for it pretty much out of my pocket. And so I say that not to even boast or brag. I say that in the most, like, with the utmost humility, because like it was only God that, you know, allowed all of this to happen. And now I'm thankful that, of course, I didn't get a loan. But I think that's important for women, um, specifically because we have all these roadblocks, you
Mhm.
know. Okay,
Mhm.
we're trying to figure this out, figure that out, and trying to start a business, and we need money to start it. But I do think that if you are on the path that God put you on, then, you know, some of those stumbling blocks won't be as hard to get over.
Absolutely. Give them the title of your company, your business.
Six dimensions. So, and maternal health is not all that we focus on. It's a big part of what we focus on, especially right now.
Right.
It's given what's going on with Black women. We're 3 to 4 times more likely to die from health related complications than other women. But we also, the heart of what we do is health equity and social justice. And so I'm not shy to say that, you know, racism, it has lasting impacts on everything that happens with Black people. And so
Absolutely.
that's really what we focus on, like just addressing racism in the healthcare and all of these other systems that we navigate.
Absolutely. I think that's critical because many people think about when we talk about maternal health, this has been a discussion that we've had more so in the last year or two. Like, but these statistics have been around for decades.
Yep.
And so to know that these things are happening and kind of wondering why we have so many stories. Oh, I know a friend, or I have an aunt, or I have a cousin, or my neighbor experienced, you know, death in childbirth or death as a result of child. And you're going, how is this possible? Like, what's going on? And why are we kind of at the cusp of it, but why are we also not knowledgeable about it? Or why is this a discussion that seems not to be taking place? So I think it's critical to know that this work is being taken to kind of to the forefront and brought to more light. And I think that it shouldn't have to take deaths and things like that to really bring it to light, but that's what's really happening, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now, how did you get started with your business to like what I know there had to be this turning point as you were doing things like how did you get started just with deciding that Six Dimensions is the way I want to go and this is where we kind of moved into. So I understand the maternal health part, but what got you started with your business, Six Dimensions?
Yeah, so I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I didn't know in what way. And of course, I needed something very low cost to do, that didn't take much startup cost, because I also knew that, you know, a family was important to me and starting a family. So it has always been my goal to be an entrepreneur. And I've worked in a variety of settings, but my last job before I left to start the company was I worked at a nonprofit here. And so when I started, I was like the lowest person on the totem pole, the project specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but over the course of 5 years, I moved up and moved all the way up to the director of the center. And so there was the only other position that was next was like executive director. And, you know, luckily that executive director, she when she first came on with the company, it was like in my first or second year, she told me, I want you to apply for a manager's job because I think you can do it. And I was like the youngest person in the company and like the last person hired. And I was like, okay, I would, I'm up for the challenge, but I also know that, people are going to be pissed off that
it comes with a lot of decision.
Yeah. And so, but I applied for it, got that position, went to school to get my doctorate. And she said, well, when you finish your doctorate, you're going to be the director. And so maybe like 6 months before I completed my doctorate, I started in the director's position, which again was, it could have been a little bit of controversy because I was, I wasn't staying in positions very long. I was kind of moving around quite a bit, but she gave me an opportunity to lead. And, but at the same time, I also realized that there were things that I needed more control over. And I hate to say control because like, I may be a control freak a little bit, but like when it comes to creativity and innovation, like I wanted to like just do that. I just wanted to be creative. And that job required me to do like a lot of administrative things. It required me to do a lot of putting out fires when it came to staff. And so it made me think about what do I want to build and how do I want to build it. And so in 2016, I had prepared and I left the job and started. And I had a couple of contracts lined up then. And then about in October of 2016, Jackson State, where I got my doctorate from, asked me to come back and help part-time in doing grant writing. And so from 2016 to kind of 2018 was a real kind of up and down point because I was having to focus a lot on my part-time job, which provided a stable salary at that point. And right. So then it was overlapping with my consulting, what I really wanted to do. And then of course I had another baby. And so that was, a big part of it. So like in 2017, when I had the baby, I had him in December. And so on my maternity leave, I was like, oh, I got to get it. Like I would have him on my breast and I'm like scheduling, talks with people just to kind of see how do I do this? How do I really get this up and rolling? Got my minority certification. And so I was like, okay, I'm rolling. And so, things started to pick up then. And then, and I stayed around at the job because it was a stable income and it was a decent income, that it didn't take much for me to supplement.
Right.
And so this year in May, new leadership came around and they called me in on May 29th and was like, hey, we are ending your position. And so I was like, okay. Then
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was like, cool. But one note that I really want to put in there, and I know I'm talking so much, but one note I want to put in there that I think is really important. So the school did ask me to come full time, and I had a discussion with the leadership at the time, and we talked about going full time. And the number that they asked me to go full time for, I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it, and I just couldn't give all of myself for a number that was less than impressive, And so I said, well, I would rather, bust it on my own to do that than, to take that. And so when I said no, I think that put the nail in the coffin. And so I was just good. And when I left, that's been 2 months ago, almost 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. And when I say things have picked up, I brought 2 people on staff with me and it's just rolling, and I've also decided that I'm not taking any new projects until the end of the year to kind of get my good footing, but I'm blessed to be able to say that right now.
Absolutely. I think that sometimes we have to be in a position where we have to say no to what we think would possibly be a good opportunity so we can really value our own worth and say no to you, yes to me.
Yep.
because if I can do this for you and you see this value in my work, but not value in my worth, then I'm gonna say yes to me, and I'm gonna go ahead and make it happen for myself. So
Yeah.
I think that's really dope.
Yeah.
So you said your brand's mission is to create healthy and equitable communities through innovative, strategic, culturally appropriate, and sustainable public health solutions. Can you expand on that for me a little bit?
Yeah, I know that was a mouthful, but the innovative part, that's the most important to me. Well, and I won't say the most important, but one of the most important things to me, because like in the nonprofit world, which I'm not a nonprofit, the nonprofit world, sometimes you are bound to the parameters of a grant and what they want you to do, what you need to do. And so like, I kind of took the reverse role of that. I'm going to create what I'm doing the research and I'm reading and I'm understanding the numbers, but I'm going to take that and create something that resonates with people on different levels. So like for the documentary, people love stories, they listen to stories, and people always say, well, can we get the documentary, just watch it on YouTube? No, you can't right now, because I don't want you to just watch it. I want you to act after you watch it. And so then when we talk about that and have that discussion, I think it's just a really beautiful way to like merge public health and art. And so like there aren't any boundaries or any limits on what we can do and how we can create it. So if it's gonna make an impact and it's really dope, then we'll go after it. And then equitable and culturally appropriate, that's the heart of it. Like the systems that we navigate, they aren't equal or equitable. So we're just working toward understanding that every community, every culture is different, and that's fine and that's good, but we have to know that whatever kind of care or services we provide have to support those differences.
Absolutely. So you talked about the viewing of the documentary. How are they able to view it? What is the process by which you're able to see it? I know it's been shown at a couple of festivals, but how do we go about getting this documentary seen? How do we spread the word about it? What's the best way to make sure that we're getting this documentary viewed by more people and having those discussions and that action piece that follows?
Yeah, and so just reach out to me through my website, info@6dims.com. That's the email address. Reach out to me there and we'll set up a screening for really any community. A lot of what we've done is for healthcare providers and other service providers. But now we've done a lot of conversations just with mothers, and those are extremely valuable. And so just reach out to me and we'll work through setting those up. And if it's in Mississippi, it's even easier to set those up. We're doing them virtually, but definitely in Mississippi, we have some work that we're doing with our state health department around it. So
that is awesome. That is awesome. It's definitely something that needs to be, widespread, because this is such a powerful piece. Like I said, that we haven't really been discussing. It's been happening for decades, but we haven't really been having discussions and conversations around it. So what is the best way to reach you when people are interested in your brand? What are your social media handles? What are your websites? Give us that information.
Okay, so my social media is @6dims, so @SIXDIMS, and that's on every social media platform. And website www.6dims.com. And I need to do a little branding, like for me. I don't have it. I just go do everything through my business, so I'm not good with that yet.
No, I get it. So is there anything else that you would like for people to know about your brand or about what it is that you highlight?
Yeah, so I think we're at a critical point in this country right now. And we have the ability to define what happens next. This is a chapter in history that's being written, and we all have to define where we are, and we will be responsible for telling the truth of this chapter in our history. And so I think it's important that we all just determine what our place is and how we push forward and It's not to me about having my name written in a history book, but it's to me about doing the work to make sure that our communities get what they need. And so at the heart of it, I'm just a community person. That's what my passion is. And that's it. That's me.
That's phenomenal. Last thing,
Okay.
what is one word that affirms who you are, or phrase?
So right now, I'm gonna say free,
Free.
because, and maybe I'm not even supposed to be going over into it, but I
No,
think
please do.
I'm
Please
in
do.
a place now where career-wise, I'm just comfortable, and I hate to use comfortable, but I'm good with me. I'm good with my business. I'm good with my family, and freedom is a very personal thing.
It
And
is.
so, of course, we look at it in these bondage ways of the systems that we live in, but like freedom and truly leading people to freedom begins with us. Harriet Tubman did that. She freed herself. And so I think that's what I would leave, because that's the only way I can really lead with love and passion, is being free within myself.
And that's powerful. Before we started recording, we were just talking about, ways that we kind of get our mind in that space and that mindfulness and that being free. And it has a lot to do with self-care. It has a lot to do with how we operate in first taking care of ourselves so we can take care of our community, so we can take care of our family, so we can take care of our businesses. So I think you are a super dope Black female. Like, you're a dope Black woman, and I'm so proud to know you and just honored to see the work that you're doing for our communities. And I'm anxious to be whatever you need me to be to help facilitate this work or get it moving or help to further your message, because it's truly powerful. So thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to share you with the world.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, and everything you said, ditto. I just appreciate you creating this platform for Black women.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Okay, you too.